Hey, everybody, grab your coffee. It's time for Living with Favor, where we talk about faith, abundance, vitality, overflow, and relationships. I am Lisa Mosby, your host of Living with Favor. Thank you so much for tuning in and letting us offer a bit of advice. Today, that advice is on fitness, nutrition, and mind power. We are covering the 3 keys to personal transformation with my guests. My guests are actually gurus in the fitness industry. My word, not theirs. I'll let them dispute that if they want to. But they met through their love of fitness, and they now collaborate to bring fitness, nutrition, and mind power to women around the world, virtually, online, and then they also do coaching. So these ladies offer webinars, both in person, as I mentioned, virtual classes, and they also offer coaching services. They are heart-centered business owners who commit to their clients and will do everything in their power to help them make a shift and create a transformation in their life. What a fantastic opportunity for us to dive into the synergy between physical fitness, holistic nutrition, and mind power. So please welcome my guest. Welcome, Nicole. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here today. Did you want to add it? I'm going to go at you, Nicole. Is there anything you wanted to add about your introduction? Kind of just give us a minute synopsis of where you came from in the fitness world.
First of all, thank you so much for having me and having us. I mean, we're very excited about this. And I want you to write my bio. You're amazing. And I've been passionate about health and fitness for decades, literally, without giving anything away about my age, but literally decades. And in the fitness industry, we have to take continuing education credits and such. So I was always interested in nutrition, and I found that it was always the same old thing that we were hearing, and yet we're not getting any healthier or better off in the way of nutrition. And I started to suspect that something was probably wrong with the information that fitness instructors and personal trainers were being taught. And so I started going down a bit of a rabbit hole, and that's how I found holistic nutrition. And I thought, this is what I've been looking for. So that's where I found myself in 2018. And I did a master's program in holistic nutrition and then became board certified in 2022.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I look forward to picking your brain and hearing from you about your experience. And Lisa, how about you? Anything you want to add to your introduction before we dive into the questions?
Sure. And I'll agree with Nicole. You do a great job of introducing. So thank you, Lisa. And it's an honor to be here. I love working with Nicole. And as far as my fitness background, I've been a lover of fitness and exercise for decades as well, 30 plus years. And I know that nutrition plays a huge role in our fitness. You know, it's a combination. And in the recent years, I've also found that how much mind power mindset has to do with it. It's a whole piece, you know, our mental and physical well-being, what we put in our bodies, how we think, and also movement. It all comes together to make our overall well-being. And so I started studying mind power and became a mind power coach just a year and a half ago, and have been working with Nicole on the nutrition side of it, learning a lot from her. And so, you know, our mission is just to help women and others realize that you know they have the potential to create the life they want and feel good, and that's what it's all about.
I have to comment. I know that you just did a virtual class before we hopped on this conversation. I'm looking at you and it's like, you look stunning. You perfectly done, made up. And she was working and sweating and just, getting into it. And here's Nicole and I, it's like, we're ready for the day. We're pumped up, we're going. And, Nicole always shows up. I'm sorry, Lisa always shows up just so elegant and poised and just ready for the mission. I love that. What it makes me think about is like the physical fitness piece of it. Like, how does our physical strength, you just worked out and you show up and your mind is sharp and you're ready to go and you've got that mindset power, the poise, and you're going to just be present with all of these women. How does physical strength affect the rest of our life? I want to throw that out to you.
Sure. Well, for one, when we exercise, we're releasing good endorphins, And those can help with our confidence. They're mood lifters. They help reduce stress and anxiety. They sort it primes us for the day. And so when you're active and you move, then you just automatically feel more ready to conquer the day, if you will. You feel confident in your own skin. You feel accomplished because you've done something good for your body. And then another piece of that is fueling your body. You know, I make sure to have good fuel before, during, and after the workout, feel hydrated. And Nicole is an expert when it comes to that, but you know, the protein shake after the workout and things like that. So, and then the morning routine for mental toughness is something else I do, which is just a 9-minute. It has to do with breathing, gratitude, and goals. And so you get your mind set right away with the breath. And then with gratitude, when you're in a state of gratitude, you can't be negative. It's impossible. And then setting goals for the day, you know, what you want to accomplish and get done. And so you're just like ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, and you show up exactly like that, exactly like that. You can tell that your morning routine has set the tone for your entire day. You know, Nicole, how does our morning routine from a nutritional perspective help us get going? I want you to kind of shine some light on the foundational like dietary principles that support a strong mind, body, you know, and getting us going in the morning. What are some of those principles?
Sure. Great. Thank you for asking that question. So from a holistic nutrition perspective, we have 5 foundational principles. I wrote them down because sometimes literally on the spot, I like forget what they are. But they are hydration. You touched on water, hydration, digestion. Of course, if you're not properly digesting your food, you're not going to have energy, because what is food for our cells? That is energy. So if you're not digesting your food and it's sitting there like a lump in your stomach, then your body actually isn't getting the nutrients into the cells. So I hear from a lot of women who lack energy. A lot of the problem might be digestion. So hydration, digestion, blood sugar balance, that also speaks to energy there as well. Our mineral intake, we need a good mineral balance, and healthy fat intake, because our cells, every one of our cells actually is made up of a fat, like a phospholipid bilayer. So taking in healthy fats is very important. And I also just wanted to mention, as you were talking about being energetic, showing up, feeling good, all the endorphins and everything, I think it's Brendon Burchard who talks about a generator. Like when we exercise, we actually create more energy for ourselves. People think that they would have less energy, but anybody who has an exercise practice knows that they actually have a lot of energy. And Brendon Burchard calls that like a generator. It's not using up the energy, we are generating energy. So just quick blurb about Brendon. That's important too.
Yeah, Lisa mentioned kind of the hormones that are produced when we're working out, and those are kind of those energy, you know, it's the energy drug, but it's all natural. Our body produces it. We create it ourselves. Uh, can you share a story maybe of someone that you've seen transform with their nutrition and getting started with nutrition? And then I'm going to throw this over to Lisa and she can share a story as well. But have you seen somebody, and can you share what that transformation looked like for them when they changed their nutrition?
Sure. I had recently had a client who she was just 36 years old, and she was diagnosed with lupus. Nothing that I do is to be construed, by the way, as any medical advice. I don't diagnose, cure, or treat, but I do address imbalances in people's bodies. And so she knew at the age of 36 years old that she was suffering from joint pain, chronic joint pain. She had been diagnosed, as I said, with lupus, and she just knew this isn't how I should be feeling going through my life. So a friend of hers referred her to me, and we just really addressed nutrition from the start. She had a fitness program in place. She wanted to lose weight, but I focused mainly on her joint issues with nutrition health. And so, you know, within a month or two, now nothing is, you know, she has to be compliant. Nothing is, it's not a magic pill, of course, but her joint pain over the course of the few months that we worked together. And of course, she did implement a fitness program as well. She started to feel better. I mean, her spine used to hurt all the time, which is one of the reasons she just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she started to feel better relatively quickly. And then towards the end of our work together, she had blood work from her doctor, and all of her inflammatory markers were in the normal range.
It's just amazing. The body can heal itself effortlessly. All we have to do is feed it. Feed and water, just like a plant. If we don't feed and water our plants, what kind of fruit are they going to produce? The same as for us. If we don't feed and water our bodies, what kind of fruit are we going to produce? What kind of behaviors are we going to produce out of that? And I know, Lisa, you had shared with me a great story of a recent client that you worked with, and it was a combination of mindset and physical transformation. And I'd love for you to share that with the audience, if you don't mind.
Sure, I'd be glad to. And just to touch a little bit on the feeding of the body, you can think of it the same way as what we feed our minds, because, there's so much out there, and like we need to choose, we get to choose on what we focus on. And what we focus on and what we think about, plays a big role in what the rest of our health is like, because it can determine what actions we take and so on, and how we feel about our bodies. And so this client of mine, she had a pretty rough growing up and went through a pretty bad phase in her life, was in rehab, and she's now 8 years sober. But even though she did a lot of healing during that time, she still was having trouble with a feeling of self-worth, and a little bit lost as far as what to do with the rest of her life. She knew she wanted to help others that got in the situation like she did, because others helped her come out of that time period. So she did mind power coaching with me, and also got into, just the beginnings of taking care of her body and getting physically fit. And we'll bring nutrition into that as well. We've done things with, like, and again, I'm not a medical doctor either, but just simple things like hydrating more, adding vegetables and so on. Anyway, one of the cool things was just, she's already got a really good job. She's a mentor now to others that need help. And then recently I gave her a makeover. I'm a Mary Kay beauty consultant as well. And so we had a fun kind of girls' day together, gave her a makeover. And then I took some photos of her out at our place. We have a country home, and I didn't realize what a difference something like that could make for someone. But she wrote me later that day, and she said, "You have no idea what these pictures meant for me." She said, "For the first time, I look in the mirror and I feel beautiful." And she actually, back at a time when she was suicidal, had cut up every single picture there was of her, and there weren't many to begin with. And, she said, "These pictures mean the world to me." She's got a job interview this week, and she's, ready to look professional and go in with confidence. And it's so awesome. And I know that it was a combination of mind power and also getting physically fit, thinking more about taking care of herself, getting the good nutrients in her body and so on. And she's like a new woman. And it's very rewarding as a coach to see that.
Yeah. Sometimes we can go to the gym, we can get a membership, and we can work out, and doesn't change how we feel. We don't see the results. Sometimes we can change our diet, start on keto or some fat diet, or do low carb or high protein, or it doesn't change how we feel on the inside. It's this key, like it's almost like a lock and key system, where when we can pull these three things together, I think you guys have landed on something here, and how you've coordinated and pulled it all together with the physical fitness, the physical movement. It doesn't matter if you're in pain, everyone can do something, even sitting in a chair and moving your wrists and your ankles, or just moving your neck. Like there's some physical movement that we can do, and it makes a difference in the body. And then filling and overflowing and, just feeding our bodies with all the nutrients that it can handle, people will eventually feel some sort of a shift when we can digest and eliminate all those things. That's what I'm hearing you saying. How come more people don't know about this? Why is it that as a country, we have more information than ever, more studies, more science, more research? Why don't more people know about this? Why are we so obese in this, especially in America. And I know you all work with, can work with anybody virtually around the world, but why is this such an epidemic in our country when we have all this information? Nicole, I'll start with you. What do you think?
Oh boy, that's a rough one. We can go in many, many directions, but I'll try to keep it quick and simple in the best way that I can. Although there's lots of information, there is people don't get rich from being healthy or giving health advice. In other words, there's a lot of money in the sick care industry that we have, and there is a pill for every ill. So there are companies and there are doctors who are benefiting off of our illness. I will just keep it there.
Yeah. So then how do one's nutritional needs change when they embark on a more active lifestyle? We know that we're using up our fuel, we're using up our energy, we may be even using up our fat stores when we start moving. But when we take that action, even if it's just walking for 30 minutes a day, what kind of nutritional needs can shift or change? Are there small little tweaks that people can put into place that demonstrate a huge reward at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, because of course, if you've gone from a sedentary lifestyle and then you're going to become active, things are going to change. And also, we're all aging. So when I say as we age, if we're not breathing, then we're not aging. So everyone's aging that is listening to this or watching this. So basically, it comes back to hydration, that your hydration needs are going to increase the more active you are. And we really need to keep in mind protein. I always encourage that everybody should lift weights. If your doctor hasn't told you to lift weights yet, go get another doctor's advice. You should be lifting weights or performing resistance against your own body weight. And then what will change in addition to your hydration needs, of course, is the need for protein. And actually our need for protein increases not just the more we move or want to build muscle, but actually as we age, our receptors for protein uptake get more dulled, like everything else does as we age. And so we actually need more protein as we age than we do when we're in our 20s.
Because you can't digest it. You can't take it in. So you have to give more of a chance to digest and absorb. Interesting. And you will help with folks to create those macros to identify what are your protein needs? What kind of carbs and like setting up nutrition plans for folks. Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
So Lisa, I'm going to throw the goals over to you. What approach do you use in setting realistic and sustainable goals for women that might be new to fitness, that may be making some shifts in their nutrition changes? How do you help people work through that maze? Because like I said, there's so much information. Some of it is misinformation. We see people having success, but it's not a one size fits all. So how do you address that with folks and helping them to set realistic and sustainable goals?
Sure. Well, first of all, when someone comes to myself or Nicole, then that means they are ready for change. And that's really important because they've got to make that decision first that they will commit and do something to make a positive change. So that's number one. If that piece is missing, then it's pretty hard to get anywhere. But we first focus on just making, smaller goals, short-term and long-term goals are good, but to focus on just like one or maybe two changes at a time. And that way it's something doable that they can achieve and they'll feel success sort of right away, whether it's adding just a 10-minute walk to their day or, whatever that may be, adding more vegetables to their plate if we're going nutrition. And then also just talking to them, getting to know them as a person and what they want in life, what are activities that they enjoy, what are things they want to be able to do, why they're choosing to get healthy. And so trying to find, activities that promote movement and are healthy lifestyle type things that they can incorporate into their life that they will want to continue to do. And then finding an accountability partner too is really key, I believe, and stressing the importance of consistency. So, I as their coach can be part of the accountability piece, but if they can find a buddy, to join in the journey with them, that really helps. And then Nicole and I have talked about this before, but everybody's going to have setbacks. That's just part of life. So just to reiterate the fact that, if one day you skip the workout or you have, the piece of cheesecake or the, something like that, don't let that sabotage your whole mission and your whole goal. You just get up the next morning, put one foot in front of the other and keep going.
Yeah, that's that power of the mindset, right? Once you draw a line in the sand and say, hey, this is it. It's my health. It's the only asset that I have. Some people who are sick would give up all the money that they have, all the money in the world, all the money in the bank account just to feel healthy again. And once the health goes south, it's a long, hard journey to get it back for some folks. So uh what role does like physical activity play in managing stress and anxiety, because those play into our mindset? When we are feeling pressured, when we are under stress, uh sometimes it's hard to not eat the cheesecake, and it's hard to get the tennis shoes on and go for the fitness. So which comes first? Is it the mindset? Does the mindset overcome the stress and anxiety, or is it just go do the physical activity? I'd love for you guys to chime in, hear your opinion on this. Nicole, go ahead, you start.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, and motivation isn't always going to get you there.
Yeah.
That could be where Lisa talks about belief. Like if you don't think you can do something, your chances of you doing it, you can be very defeatist, right? If you have to, in order to achieve anything, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right, which is, I think Henry Ford had said that. So on the days that you're lacking motivation, give it 5 minutes, start something for 5 minutes. Or, Lisa talks about very simple things. Just take the time and sit and breathe and tune in with yourself, right? Then you might come about a different attitude towards your day. There's a lot to be said for the breath in general. And you said it in the beginning of this discussion, that the body has an innate wisdom to heal, and we're actually given everything. And the F in favor is faith, right? God gave us everything that we need on this earth and in our body. So sometimes it doesn't feel like it's there, but if you just give yourself either a few breaths or 5 minutes to start going, you'd be surprised. You might end up going for 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Just start. Yeah. Just put the shoes on, right? Yeah. So Lisa, what do you think? The mind motivates us more than the body. Which is first? Do we mind power through it, or do we get out there and go for a walk? Where do you come in on it?
I think that it can really be either one. It sort of depends on the day. I mean, it's one of those things that you've got to keep training. You've got to keep training the brain and the body. And so there might be those days where your mind isn't in it, but like we were saying, put the shoes on, just get moving. And sometimes that can be enough to like, hey, I'm doing this. And also, you've heard about like look in the mirror and just say, I can do this. I'm great. It's going to be a great day. Do that anyway, even if you're not feeling it inside. And I think it's Mel Robbins that talks about that. But, just give yourself the high five in the mirror. And even if you're like, this is a terrible day, it kind of sucks, just do it. Just do it. And even if it's just, just a minute. And I think that that's the main thing that you've got to get instilled, is that you've got to do the thing. And the 100% certainty meter is another thing that I speak on. And that's, we have to have 100% certainty that we can do something. And that takes some training as well, because if you even have 1% doubt that you're going to achieve a goal, that can sabotage the whole thing. So we've got to really, really believe we can do this. And so whether the physical or the mind part comes first, it's really a combination. But I would say that even on the days when your mind isn't quite there, start putting the body in motion. And because that automatically will release those good endorphins, lift the mood, you're doing something, then it's sort of like, it's you realizing that how your body feels and that I can do this. Another thing is when you're in motion, it's kind of a meditation in motion type of thing. I love doing walking meditations because I like to move. And so, meditation is another one that can help get our mindset right. And if you're not one that doesn't think you can sit there in one place and meditate, or you haven't tried it before, try a walking meditation. So you get yourself moving, and you can put on, a meditation that you find on YouTube or whatever, and get your mindset right. And then hopefully it will come together, and once you start to get the feeling, it's that getting started. But usually once people have experienced just a little bit of that positive feeling in the body and or the mind, then you start to crave that feeling again, and you'll want to move, and you'll want to have that good mindset.
Sounds like a mindfulness practice almost, where you're intentionally, when you're moving, you talked about breathing and, intentional movement and allowing your kind of mind to be fully present with that. Sounds like a mindfulness practice in getting you started to work out. I love that idea. I was going to ask you for some specific things that people can do. So be intentional. Maybe don't turn on the music and plug it in your ears when you go for that walk. Just be in the environment, be in a state of gratitude. Thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for the green trees. Thank you for the blue sky. Thank you for, my legs and their ability to walk, getting into that mindfulness state. How would we do the same for food? I think I already answered my own question, but I'm going to throw that over to you, Nicole. Is there a mindfulness practice in relation to your nutrition?
Actually, it's funny that you ask, because I mentioned the 5 fundamentals in holistic nutrition, and digestion is so important. So it does go hand in hand. And you've probably heard the rest and digest nervous system. You've probably heard people reference that. And that is real. It's not just woo-woo talk. It's actually, we have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system, or an automatic nervous system that fight or flight, rest and digest. Now, in order for us to digest our food, we must actually be in that parasympathetic state. So mindfulness practice can help you get there. That's one thing that's amazing. It helps you relax, it helps you sleep, it helps you get those stress hormone levels down. And so one of the big tips that I give each and every client to start off with is to, when you sit down before you eat your meal, notice I said you sit down before you eat your meal. Don't miss that. Doesn't mean we're sitting in the car getting our dinner through our window either, right? You're sitting at a counter or a table. I know sometimes we have children running around, but this is where it's really essential that you take 10 deep breaths before you start to consume your food. Now, many cultures have the practice of sitting down and praying. Gratitude, same thing. Then if that's what you're doing, you're sitting down in a prayerful moment with your family or by yourself before you eat, that's your mindfulness practice. You don't necessarily have to take those 10 breaths. But if you're not in the habit of prayer or gratitude in any way before you sit and eat, then I recommend those 10 deep breaths to get yourself into a parasympathetic state. Talk about takes practice, but it does. It takes practice. You'll get there.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great idea. And if 10 is too many, remember, folks, we put the shoes on, and that will cause you to do the action. Start with 1 big, deep breath before you eat. Increase it to 2 next week, and gradually work your way up to that. Nothing has to start from the end goal. It always starts with baby steps. So as we're moving through these habits, myths, Lisa, we kind of talked about this a little bit previous conversations that we've had about some of the the myths in the health and fitness world, and or emerging trends. I'm going to give you both of these because we're kind of coming to the end of our conversation here, and I'll let you tackle it either way. What myths can we squash for people today? And then I also want to get into some emerging trends with fitness and nutrition as we move forward.
Sure. I would say some of the common myths, and I'll focus on the ones with strength training in women, because women and the necessity for strength training is huge. I mean, it's just a mess, and you're never too old to start. You're never too old to get stronger and to train those muscles. And we've got to do that in order to maintain our bone density, which we start to lose as we age. And just so that we can function and, do functional movement, which is an upcoming trend, by the way, is learning functional movement and practicing that. But a lot of women are like, oh, I don't want to strength train, I might get bulky. But the truth is our chemical makeup, we don't have the testosterone that men do and those levels. And so we're not going to bulk up in that same way. And also they might think that they have to use only light weights so they don't get injured. And that's also a myth. You really need to be using a challenging weight that is a little bit heavier, once you build up to that. So I think those are the two that are on the top of my head. And then I can let Nicole speak on this too, but the upcoming trends would be functional movement, which I know she and I have always put that, first, because how we move, I mean, people want to be able to, pick up the grandkids, put the groceries on the shelf, do all those things. So functional movement has always been important to us, but it's coming more in the mainstream now. And then Nicole, do you want to speak on like the wearables in fitness?
Sure. We could go in a million different directions on nutrition myths, but I just do want to address one simple thing about nutrition that we're always kind of shown things about meat being bad for you, and I would like to dispel that myth that red meat has many of the nutritional benefits that we actually need. But what does matter is how it's raised. You don't want conventional meat. A stressed out animal will have a lot of stress hormones, and actually studies show less of the nutrients than what is in a grass-fed and pasture raised animal. So they have more nutrition. They have a better omega-3 fatty acid profile in a grass-fed pasture raised animal. So I would like to dispel the myths on not eating meat. I think it should be known that not all protein is created equal. It's unfortunate because on our food labels, we do see the fat breakdown, we see a carbohydrate breakdown, thank goodness nowadays, where we see the added sugar. But protein is just supposed to be protein. Mm-hmm. And that is not true. We need to have certain amino acids to build muscle. And that's great what Lisa said about our ability as women to build muscle is much more difficult than for men. And we cannot get bulky. I do always maintain that cupcakes make us bulky, but lifting heavy weights is not going to make us bulky. And then to speak to just a quick thing about some specific nutrients for the brain. I just said real quickly about omega-3 fatty acids, really important. And for the brain as well, choline is found in eggs, also found in red meat. And creatine, I think we did touch on that for muscle building and brain health. And also turmeric, which is a something that you would find curcumin in, is good for anti-inflammatory benefits. So,
yeah, powerful nutrition. Folks, when you're looking at your plate, what do you see? Do you just see a big old slab of chicken or, something greasy and floating in it? Or do you see things that are supporting your brain health, building muscle, healthy fats to improve brain function? We know that there's a direct connection to coconut oil and avocado oil or avocados themselves for healthy brain function, for healthy joints. If you don't have this information, I would encourage you to begin growing an educational, connection or relationship with somebody who can teach you. These ladies are amazing at what they do, well educated, well studied, and they practice what they preach. They support women, especially of a certain age. I know that you guys are thinking about talking, doing a podcast for women 50 and older and addressing specific challenges for that group of people. I know that you have a much larger demographic that you're working with right now, but for my audience, I would encourage you to get connected to people who have this information. Don't get taken in by all the advertising and the fad diets, calories in, calories out, movement made. Those are the things that matter when we create health? And what's your nutrition look like? Are you getting the right kind of nutrition? Are you deficient in anything? When was the last time you had a blood test to say, hey, what are my numbers? Just so that you have information and data to move forward with what you want to do next. I'm going to let you guys wrap it up. Final words from Nicole, and then I'm going to let Lisa have the actual final say of this because she's the one that coordinated it and brought us all together. So, Nicole, final words, final thoughts for today.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I do realize I forgot to mention the wearables, which we didn't talk about sleep for brain health. So I do wear an Oura ring, but you don't have to have an Oura ring at all. You could use a Fitbit or whatever motivates you. Maybe you don't need anything to get motivated. But if you do, you can use, some sort of a tech device these days that can help you know your steps, like hitting 10,000 steps. There you go. Just hitting 10,000 steps is known to decrease so many risks for various diseases, from dementia to type 2 diabetes to, cardiovascular disease. So, use what we have out there, all that technology, to help yourself, whatever may motivate you, and, tracking that information. So yeah, I think that is another little facet that we can employ, the state that we're living in now, to let this technology work for us.
Resources. We have resources available. But if you can't afford technology and you can't afford machinery, equipment, or a gym membership, your own body weight can do the trick. Tracking on a piece of paper the old-fashioned way until you can work into and afford those other things. These ladies can teach you how to do both. So if you have the resources, the financial resources, you can do this. Even if you don't, we don't want you to be discouraged. There's ways to do this. There's ways to have an affordable, healthy diet. There's ways to track your fitness and activity on paper and pencil, and it can be very affordable. So we don't want you to quit if you can't get those wearables, and if you can't figure out how to do the nutrition. Talk to these guys. Lisa, you get the final word. Let's pull this all together: the fitness, the food, and the mindset, the 3 keys to unlock that transformation. How do we do it all?
Thank you. And I just want to say, I love the platform and that you're also taking time, Lisa, to talk about vitality and all of these things. It's really awesome. And thanks to Nicole also for bringing in the nutrition piece. And I would just encourage people to, for one, you're not alone, and just bringing the mind and the body and the nutrition together is key. Think about the car that is trying to function without having gas in it. It doesn't work. We've got to fuel our bodies. And then we've also got to fuel our minds with positive thinking and believing in ourselves. Keep yourself surrounded with other like-minded individuals who want to, live their best life and be healthy, because environment plays a key as well. And don't give up. Just wake up every day, be in a state of gratitude. Take those breaths and be mindful when you're eating, be mindful when you're moving. And before you know it, you're going to start to feel better. And that's what we all want. Really, life is all about health and feeling good, because without that peace, nothing else really matters. So that's what I would encourage you, is to just prioritize your health. It will be worth it, and you will thank you.
Yeah, you will thank you. Well said. Yeah. You can find either of these ladies on their websites. It's Nicole Printon. Am I saying that right? NicolePrinton.com. And Lisa is Lisa Shreck Fit #4U. Lisa Shreck Fit #4U. And then, of course, my website, Lisa Mosby, Mosbey, LisaMosby.com. If you want to connect with any of us or any one of us, we can get you to the other 2 folks. Also, you can find that information in the show notes. I hope you had some valuable takeaways today. This is important. Your life matters. Your health matters. Your health creates the quality of the life that you live. And if we don't pay attention to this, and if we don't start doing this with some intention, we'll wake up one morning and find that we have incredible inflammation. We don't have the will to get out of bed. Every move, every step is nothing but pain. And it doesn't have to be that way. As we age, we can age gracefully, we can age powerfully, we can age beautifully, because there's so many resources in our life right now, so many avenues for us to walk down to get help and to find ways to feel good in our own skin. So thank you, ladies, both of you, for being here. It was truly my pleasure. You always motivate me. I'm going to go for a walk. I already got my tennis shoes on because I knew that would happen as soon as we wrap this thing up. So thank you for sharing your love, your time, your heart, and thank you for, leaning into women specifically, especially people my age, because, I get the benefit of it, all of your knowledge and everything that you're teaching people. So I'd love to have you come back again. We'll keep this conversation rolling. I know you have some webinar series that are coming up here towards the end of the year and the first part of next year. Folks can find out more information about those things on both their websites. And then also I will add it to show notes of anything that they've been on with me so that you can always stay connected and find out those resources. So I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had a takeaway, and do get in touch with one of us. We'd love to support you on this journey. Thanks, everybody.